Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaurakatha Dhamadaya Nagaragramatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. We'd like to welcome all of our YouTube Live listeners, all of our devotees joining us on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, and on Zoom. We'd like to welcome each and every one of you to this day 25 of Sri Vraja Mandal Parikrama.
So, can we have the slideshow, please? Today, we will be continuing our Vrajamandal Parikrama walk from the most beautiful forest of Sri Bhandiravan, where Sri Radha and Krishna got married, and we'll walk from Bhandiravan to Maan Sarovar. And on the way, we will visit Maath Gram, Belvan, and Mansarovar, and then we'll stay the night at Mansarovar. So the walk would be around 18 kilometers. Next slide, please. As you can see, we are going from Bhandiravan to Belvan. Bhandiravan, Maath are very near. Maath is the entire district. Even Mansarovar, Belvan, they are also in the Maath district. So Maath is all the way, but Bhandiravan, Belvan, and then we end at Mansarovar. And beautiful, beautiful pastimes. We are, as you can see, at day 25. We will then be going to Lohavan and then Raval, Gokul Mahavan, Raval. And then at Raval, we'll be right opposite Mathura Ghat. And right after today, Mansarovar is right opposite Vrindavan. Just cross Mathura, cross the Jamuna, and we come to Vrindavan.
In fact, when we walk from Belvan to Mansarovar, we can see the beautiful temple of Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohanji at Vrindavan. We can see that.
Yes. So we are actually walk from Mansarovar to Raval. We'll be walking parallel to Vrindavan and reaching Mathura in that sense. And that's where we cross the bridge and perform the last day of the yatra. So this is day 25. Very exciting. Next slide, please. This is how we'll go from Maath, which is Bhandiravan, and all the way to Belvan, from Belvan to Maan Sarovar. Next slide, please. So we are walking from Sri Bhandiravan ki jai, Sri Gaurnitai ki jai, following in the footsteps of Sri Gaurnitai and Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Next slide, please. So the first village we come to is Maath. And although it says M-A-N-T, that N is a silent Maath, something like that. A silent nasal tone, but it's not Mant or Mant, it's actually Maath. And as we know, Lord Balaram, he killed Pralambasura in Bhandiravan. And here in this village of Maath, there is a beautiful temple of Lord Balaram celebrating Lord Balaram as the killer of Pralambasura, Pralambari Balaram. Next slide, please. So let's have beautiful darshan of Sri Balaramji and pray to him to please, since you are the killer of Pralambasura, please kill this propensity of prophet adoration, distinction, and so that we can be in the service attitude rather than in the enjoying attitude.
And Jai Shri Balabhadra Dauji ki
Jai. And
jai.
here his hand is raised in blessing.
Haribo. Jai Shri Baladev ki jai.
But for Pralambasura, this raised hand was also a blessing, but it was raised to
Smash
smash his head. Next slide, please. So after the darshan of Balaramji, we slowly walk and arrive at the 10th forest of Sri Vraja Mandala, Sri Belvan. Next slide, please. This is the temple of Mahalakshmi of Belvan. Belvan is very famous for this Mahalakshmi temple, and there's a beautiful reason why Mahalakshmi Devi is residing here in Vrajamandal. Next slide, please. Belvan is given, this is again the temple of Mahalakshmi. We are coming closer and closer to her courtyard. But before we enter the temple and have the darshan, let us understand the meaning and the reason why Mahalakshmi is here. And then with that appreciation, we can have the darshan of Sri Mahalakshmi Devi in this temple in Belvan. Next slide, please. In fact, Belvan is given this name because this forest is filled with bale trees, wood apple, bilva. It's also called bilva one, bale one, wood apple one. So Krishna Balaram, next slide, please. They would come here with their cowherd friends, and they would take the hard bale fruits. You can see uh, Madhumangal is lifting baby Krishna. Balaram is enjoying. And on the plate below, there are some laddus, but they are not laddus. They are actually bale fruits. These bale fruits are very uh, big and hard.
And when they're cracked open, if it is ripe, it tastes very sweet. They are just can be eaten like that. And when they're not ripe, even in the unripe state, if it's mixed with a little bit of tamarind, mm, mouth starts watering even by thinking about it. But when it is mixed with little tamarind, it's mixed with little bit of salt and all that, a very nice chutney kind is made with it. So the boys, Krishna Balaram and the cowherd boys, they would enjoy feasting on in the bale one with the bale fruits, the wood apple fruit.
But before they enjoy the fruits, they would use bale fruit as a ball to play with each other. They would take this bale. There are so many bale fruits for them. They are just balls. They would throw it, catch it, play with each other, hit each other sometimes. And if they break, it's even better because now we can eat it and we have another bale fruit to play as ball. Next slide, please. This is bale fruits, where Krishna and Balaram and all the cowherd boys would come to this place. Let's go to Bale one and we can play with balls. Next slide, please. And this is the bale fruit. We can see it's so natural. It's pretty hard, but it's not hard as a seasoned ball, but it's or a baseball. But it is hard enough that it doesn't crack open very easily. But sometimes it does. Bale fruit ki jai, Belvan ki jai. Next slide, please. This Belvan forest is also called as Shrivan, meaning the forest of Lakshmi Devi. This is also the place where Lakshmi Devi is sitting, performing tapasya, and she's wanting to enter the rasa leela. That's the reason she's performing tapasya in Belvan. She wants to enter the rasa leela. This forest, therefore, is called Shrivan because Lakshmi Devi is residing here. At one time, Goddess Lakshmi, she heard a description from the mouth of Narada about Vrajendra Nandan, Sri Krishna's sweet Rasalila pastime. Next slide, please. And Narad Muni was glorifying the good fortune of the gopis. And hearing this, Goddess Lakshmi, she became very eager. This eagerness arose in her heart to behold this Rasalila. No one but the gopis actually have the qualification to enter Rasalila. because they are true emblem of undivided, pure prem ras, pure love. It's only possible to gain entrance into the Ras Leela by receiving the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the embodiment of Mahabhav. Next slide, please. And Srimati Radharani, who is the crest jewel of all Krishna's beloveds. Only by her mercy or the mercy of gopis, her representatives, can we enter the rasa dance. But so to enter the Rasa Leela, Lakshmi Devi, next slide please, she began performing severe austerities at this place. Next slide. And nothing happened. She was performing severe austerities, no avail. To this day, she is performing austerities with this desire that she can enter the Rasa Leela. No one but the gopis have the qualification to enter the Rasa Leela. But the gopis have such unconditional, unmotivated love for Krishna. They are ready to do anything to please Krishna, to the extent that if by giving the dust of their lotus feet, Krishna's headache is relieved even for a moment, they are ready to give that dust. Even if they go to hell for such an offense for the rest of eternity. Next slide, please. One time.
So Narad Muni came to visit Krishna. So Krishna welcomed Narada. Oh, Narada, you are here. And Narad Muni, at that time when he came to visit Krishna, he had a doubt in his mind that who in the entire creation would be considered as the greatest devotee of Krishna. So Krishna, present in the heart of Narad Muni, could immediately understand that this is the thought that is going on in Narad Muni's mind. So Krishna, next slide please, immediately he told Narad Muni that, oh Narada, I have a headache. I have such a bad headache. And Narad Muni said, oh my Lord, you have a headache. What can be done? What can be done? So Krishna said, you know, Narada, the only thing that can cure me, my dear Narada, is the dust from the lotus feet of my devotees. So please, please, give me the dust of the lotus feet of my devotees so I can put it on my head and, I can get cured, I can get relieved of this headache. So then Narad Muni said, my Lord, where should I go? Where should I go? Now Krishna said, go anywhere. Just look for my devotees. Go and tell all my devotees. And let's see who is ready to give me their dust of their lotus feet. So Narad Muni immediately left. He came to the sages in the Himalayas who were performing great tapasya. Next slide, please. Narad Muni came and said, Narad Muni, they were performing sacrifices in the Himalayas. They were performing great penances. Narad Muni came and said, please, please, my dear sages, please, can you give me the dust of your lotus feet? The sages said, yes, sure. Why you want? So then Narad Muni said, actually, Krishna has a headache. So if he has said that the only way that he can cure his headache is if you can give the dust of your lotus feet, we'll rub that on Krishna's forehead and his headache will go away. They said, hey, Krishna, how you're asking us for, you want us to go to hell, Narada? Our feet dust going on the, Supreme Lord's head. How? We will go to hell. How can you, even think of Krishna? We cannot think. He is our worshipable Lord. We cannot think like this. Narada, please go away. Please go. We cannot do this. So Narada went to so many places. He came to Haridwar, to all the great devotees there who were performing so much tapasya. Nobody gave. Everyone refused. Finally, Narad Muni came to the Vrajavadhus, to the gopis. Next slide, please. The gopis, they were engaged in simple day-to-day household work. Some were, taking cow dung, and they were making cow dung patties. Some were filling water from the Jamuna. Some were milking the cows. And Narad Muni came to them and said, gopis, please, Krishna has a headache. And he has said that the only thing that can relieve him is the dust from the lotus feet of his devotees. So can you do something? Can you please give? The gopis, without saying anything, they just ran into the banks of the Jamuna. They just started playing with their lotus feet on the dust of the Jamuna's banks, and they called Narada, "Come here, come here." And then Narad Muni went there. When they went there, the gopis, they started dusting off all the gopis said, "Narada, hold out your cloth, hold out your cloth." And the gopis started dusting all the dust from their lotus feet into Narad Muni's cloth. And then Narad Muni collected so much dust, from the lotus feet of each and every gopi. And then gopis said, "Please go, Narada, please go. Immediately give this to Krishna." So then Narad Muni said, "Are Baba, gopis, are you all not scared that by doing this, you are giving the dust of your feet for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna? What if you go to hell?" The gopis, the simple gopis. Next slide, please. They said, "My dear Gopi, my dear Narad Muni, it's okay if we go to hell. We will be happy because Krishna's headache will be relieved. Na? That is our main concern. So let us go to hell. Let us have any suffering, no problem. But let Krishna's headache be relieved. Let him be relieved from his headache. So we don't mind our suffering. You just take this and go soon. Just run to Krishna. Don't waste even a moment. We cannot tolerate that Krishna is suffering the headache." So like this, the gopis, they collected, they brought their dust in different containers. They poured it in Narad Muni's cloth and said, "Please go, just go." So then Krishna was waiting for Narad Muni. Narad Muni came to Krishna and he said, "My dear Lord, I have brought the dust of your devotees." Krishna said, "Who gave?" And he said, "The Vrajavadhus, the gopis and Srimati Radharani, they have given their dust. Nobody else was ready to give." So Krishna took that dust and he put it on his head. And Narad Muni, he actually poured that entire dust over his head and all over his body. And Narad Muni literally bathed in that dust of the lotus feet of the gopis. And Narad Muni said that, "My Lord, my eyes have opened today. Today I have realized who are your greatest devotees. That, the gopis are your, truly they are your most exalted devotees." So then Krishna smiled at Narad Muni that, "Now you understand, now the confusion in your mind is resolved, O Narada." Next slide, please. So Narad Muni said, "Yes, my Lord, that you are so special. You are such a wonderful personality. And the gopis are even more special than you, my Lord, because they love you unconditionally. They have no, there's no motivation in their love. There is no, they just love you unmotivatedly, uninterruptedly, unconditionally. They love you so much. This is how the gopis are loving you. So we are just trying. I will just try from this day on. I will try. Narada said that I will try to simply, be the servant of the gopis. And Narad Muni said, "My Lord, when you told me that you have a headache and that your devotees' feet dust will cure you, I could have also given you that. But I was scared. I thought, how can I give you? Just like those sages, I also did not wish to give you because I was scared. But the gopis' love for you is so unconditional. They don't care what their destination will be as long as you are happy, as long as you are satisfied." So therefore, Gopi Bhartupada Kamalayor Dasa Dasa Das Anudas. That is the motto. That is the goal of our parampara, that we want to aspire to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the Vrajavadhus. Next slide, please.
So in this way, Lord Chaitanya, if you remember, in the South India Yatra, when he was in Sri Rangam, he had a beautiful discussion on the same topic with Venkata Bhatta. Sri Venkata Bhatta, the father of Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami. During his South India Yatra, it's recorded in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela chapter 9 from verses 122 onwards. Lord Chaitanya asked Sri Venkata Bhatta that, "Can you tell me why the goddess of fortune Lakshmi could not enter the rasa dance?" The authorities of the Vedic knowledge could enter the dance and associate with Krishna. And Venkata Bhatta was really not able to respond to this question. And, and he said, well, uh, that may be because uh, Krishna is same as Vishnu, so that's okay. He said, yeah, that's fine. But still, why was she not able to enter? He asked why she wanted to enter. And Venkata Bhatta said, well, she wanted to enter because Krishna is Vishnu, that's why. Okay, if she wanted to enter, then why was she not allowed to enter? He said, I'm not sure about that. Can you please explain? So Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu said, Krishna has a special characteristic. He attracts everyone's heart by this mellow of his personal conjugal love. And one can attain the lotus feet of Krishna, the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, by following in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrajaloka or Goloka Vrindavan planets. However, in that planet of Goloka Vrindavan, the inhabitants do not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Next slide, please. In Goloka Vrindavan, someone may accept him as a son, sometimes bind him to a wooden grinding mortar. Next slide, please. Someone else may accept him as an intimate friend and attaining victory over him, play, mounting on his shoulders. Next slide, please. Playfully mounts on his shoulders. The inhabitants of Vrajabhumi, they know Krishna as the son of Maharaj Nanda, who's the king of Vrajabhumi, and one who worships the Lord. Next slide, please. By following in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrajabhumi, attain him in this transcendental planet of Vraja. Next slide, please, where he is known as the son of Maharaj Nanda. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to those devotees who are engaged in spontaneous, loving service. Next slide, please. But he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, or even to those who are aspiring, striving for self-realization by austerities and penances, nor to those who consider the body as the self. So because of that, one who has these three kind of characteristics, this son of Nanda Yashoda, is not easily accessible to these people. Next slide,
Look at
please.
how beautifully Krishna is standing here with Mother Jashoda, while all the friends of Mother Jashoda are so lovingly looking upon Krishna. Such a beautiful, beautiful picture this is.
We cannot realize the beauty of this picture as long as we are attached to the body, thinking the body as ourself. Next slide. Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu continued, Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, he belongs to the cowherd community, and gopis are dearmost lovers of Krishna. Although the wives of the denizens of the heavenly planets, they are most opulent in this material world, they are the most opulent. But even they, nor any other woman in the universe, can acquire Krishna's association. That's why the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, she wanted to enjoy with Krishna. At the same time, she wanted to retain her spiritual body in the form of Lakshmi, because she did not follow in the footsteps of the gopis in her worship of Krishna. Krishna has four qualities, four extraordinary qualities, which is not possessed by Lord Narayan. And therefore, the goddess of fortune always desires his company. What are the four qualities? Next slide, please. Rupa Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, leela Madhuri, and Bhakta Pariveshtita, which means Rupa Madhuri, he is the most beautiful. Venu Madhuri, he plays the flute. Lord Narayan doesn't. Leela Madhuri, he performs these wonderful leelas with his devotees. And Bhakta Pariveshtita, he's always surrounded by his devotees. Next slide, please. Therefore, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he attracts the mind of the goddess of fortune. But Lord Narayan cannot attract the minds of the gopis. Krishna can attract Lakshmi. Narayan can attract Lakshmi. Krishna can attract Lakshmi. Krishna can attract gopis. Narayan cannot attract gopis. Gopis are only attracted by Krishna. This proves the super excellence of Krishna, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu said. Next slide, please. In fact, in front of the gopis, one time Krishna manifested the form of Lord Narayan. And they asked the four-handed Narayan, did you see Krishna passing by? They didn't even bother. I mean, they paid obeisances and they were there, but they paid respects. But they were not attracted to Lord Narayan the way that they were attracted to Krishna, even though that Lord Narayan was Krishna. Their minds are only attached to Krishna. But Lakshmi Devi, being the goddess of fortune, next slide, please, she was not willing to follow in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. She was not willing to do simple village chores like the gopis do, such as picking up cow dung paddies, milk the cows, churn butter, and things like that. Srila Radharaman Maharaj in the Katha, he said that as we are walking through the Vrajamandal, we will see some of the gopis of Vrindavan, some of the Matajis in Vrajamandal, that they are very simple. They're just making cow dung patties. We'll see that some are milking the cows. Um, they're not very uh, complex or opulent, but and sometimes those of us who are coming from cities and outside countries and all that, we look at them and we say, oh, they're so backward. You know, they're still cow dung. They're putting their hands in the cow dung patties, milking cows. I get milk from Walmart. I get milk from the shop. Or butter. Yeah, I just go to Walmart. I just go to Kroger, different places, and I get my butter. But here they're making butter. I don't know. And so sometimes Lakshmi Devi may have also thought that way. That, yeah, I can follow in the footsteps, but do I have to do this? Because of that, Lakshmi Devi, she can witness the Rasa Leela, but she cannot enter the Rasa Mandal. In order to enter the Rasa Leela, Lakshmi Devi said, I will perform severe austerities at Bilvavan or Belvan. And to this day, she's performing austerities here with this desire. So this is a very, very important place in Sri Vrajadham, where the ultimate supremacy of Braj Leela, the supreme devotion of the gopis of Vrindavan, is gloriously explained and proven here in Belvan.
So basically, Lakshmi Devi, she actually refused to, in Hindi, Srila Radharaman Maharaj says that she refused to, उन्होंने गोपियों का अनुगत्य नहीं स्वीकार किया. Means she did not want to accept to be able to follow in the footsteps of the gopis of the Vrajavadhus. She, like Lord Chaitanya said in his discussion with Venkata Bhatta, that Lakshmi Devi wanted to enter rasa dance, but while maintaining her, identity, by maintaining her identity as Lakshmi Devi, of her, opulent identity, she didn't want to give that up. But when we have to come to Krishna, we have to give up everything, sarvam samarpanam. We have to really surrender everything, just like the gopis. The gopis have surrendered everything at the lotus feet of Krishna.
How can we enter Goloka when we don't want to serve Go? Go means cows. Goloka is the abode of the cows. Goloka Vrindavan. One Maharaj said that unless we serve the cows, there is no way we can enter Goloka Vrindavan. Serving cows with humility. We may chant our rounds, we may do so many other kinds of devotional service, but serving Go Mata is a prerequisite to enter Goloka Vrindavan. In Srimad Bhagavatam, these wives of serpent Kaliya, they refer to this pastime in their prayers to Krishna and said, "Oh Lord, we are unable to understand what sadhana did this Kaliya Nag perform that he got the opportunity. He became a proprietor of the dust of your lotus feet. It's so rare." Next slide, please. So rare to procure this dust that even your wife, Lakshmi Devi, was unable to obtain it. She gave up all sense pleasures. Lakshmi Devi is performing austerities in Belvan for a very long time, in conformity, performing the rules and regulations. But she's still not able to enter your Rasa Leela. Next slide, please. Because it is only possible to gain entrance into Rasa Leela by receiving the mercy of Srimati Radhika. Next slide, please. Who is the crest jewel of all of Krishna's beloveds.
Jai Srimati Radharani ki
And by
jai.
the mercy of her two representatives, then one can gain entrance very easily. We actually do not deserve to be in Vrindavan. It's such a high place. Next slide. But if we sincerely try to follow the footsteps of Vrajvasis, of the residents of Vrindavan, we will be awarded with the consciousness by which we can actually enter into Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he's a pure devotee. He is a resident of Vrindavan. Next slide, please. If we simply learn how to follow the footsteps of the six Goswamis from the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, we can enter into the Braj Leela by Srila Prabhupada's causeless mercy. Then, by following his instructions, when we come to Vrindavan, our mood should be that we have come to speak and to act in such a way that we can please Srila Prabhupada and all the previous acharyas. If we think that we can make some independent plans, we can buy a ticket into Vrindavan, that's not possible. We may be physically able to enter Vrindavan, but unless we follow the instructions of a Brajvasi like Srila Prabhupada and the six Goswamis, we cannot enter into Braj Leela. So we offer our heads to the dust of this holy place and pray that we may always remain a faithful servant of the servant of Srila Prabhupada and all the previous acharyas. And in this way, we can gain entrance into the divine pastimes of Lord Krishna at Vrindavan. Next slide, please. And now, let us take darshan of Sri Lakshmi Devi here at Sri Belvan. She is forever eagerly performing these austerities and penances to enter into the Rasa Leela. We pray to Sri Lakshmi Devi here to please grant us that to eagerness to serve Krishna, eagerness to please him, just the way you are performing austerities in Belvan. Next slide, please. This is the beautiful Srimati Lakshmi Devi. Such inner beauty that she has, of course, external beauty, inner beauty, because of her devotion to Krishna. She's offering flower to the lotus feet of Krishna, a lotus to the lotus feet of Krishna, white lotus here in this case, with such humility, with such devotion, with such eagerness to please Krishna. Sri Lakshmi Devi ki
Jai. Next slide, please. So from Belvan, we start walking to our final destination for today, which is Sri Maan Sarovar. So Maan Sarovar is called as Radha Rani Mandir. So it is the temple of Srimati Radharani. Next slide, please. So the gopis, This is, once we enter into the gate, we can have this beautiful darshan of the Maan Sarovar area. Very, very, very beautiful, extremely serene. And our walk from Belvan to Mansarovar, if we look across, we can see the Madan Mohan temple of Sri Vrindavan Dham. So we are very near Vrindavan. We are walking along Vrindavan Dham actually. Next slide, please. So the gopis, along with Sri Krishna and Srimati Radharani, they were performing the most beautiful rasa dance. Krishna expanded himself to be with each and every gopi. And he was dancing with each and every gopi, and the gopis, they were all in ecstasy. They were thinking that, oh, the gopis were thinking, oh, Krishna, he's dancing just with me, he's with me. And little bit, the gopis started feeling some pride that Krishna is just with me, Krishna is with me. And as soon as Krishna understood that the gopis were tinged with a little bit of pride, he immediately disappeared from there with Srimati Radharani. He immediately disappeared among the midst of the gopis. So this was done by Krishna, not only just to remove the pride, but also mainly to increase the loving attachment of the gopis to Krishna. Next slide, please. So when Sri Krishna suddenly disappeared from the rasa dance, the gopis, you see here, Krishna went away with Srimati Radharani. He is walking away with Srimati Radharani from the rest of the gopis. Both of them are walking away. The gopis, they also started, their minds were fully absorbed in Shri Radha and Krishna, and they started searching the forest floors for the footsteps of the divine couple. They could make out just by looking at the footsteps. There were two pairs of footsteps. They could easily make out that this is Krishna's lotus footprints and this is Sri Radhe's lotus footprints. And they were following those lotus footprints while wandering in the forest. The gopis saw both of their footprints, and they could see, they could imagine that, oh, Krishna has gone away with Srimati Radharani. Next slide, please. And then Krishna, they could see that, Krishna is, enjoying with Srimati Radharani just by looking at the different footsteps, the footprints, following the footprints along the forest of, along the banks of the Jamuna. Next slide, please. At one point, they saw that there was a very beautiful, flower tree, and they saw that Krishna's, toe was imprinted much more. The front part of his lotus feet was imprinted more, and it was more deeper. So they were guessing, oh, probably here the divine couple stopped, and they stopped here so that Krishna could pluck some flowers and he can decorate the hair of Srimati Radharani. So they were, imagining this entire leela just by looking at the way the footprints were. Can we imagine the love of the gopis? That just by looking at the footprints, they were able to envision this pastime. What we are able to see here, the gopis were able to see just by looking at the footprints of Radha and Krishna. Next slide, please. At one point later, they saw that, the footprints of Krishna were much more deeply imprinted than Srimati Radharani's. Radharani's was hardly visible. So they guessed that, oh, Srimati Radharani, while walking, she must have gotten very tired. So Krishna must have just taken Srimati Radharani on his shoulders, and he must be walking. That's why Krishna's lotus footprint is more deep, and Radharani's lotus footprint is not seen. And then after some time, they saw that they could see only Srimati Radharani's footprint. Where did Krishna go? Where is Krishna? Only Radharani's lotus footprint. Because at this point, when Srimati Radharani was being carried so lovingly by Krishna, at that very moment, Srimati Radharani, it is explained in the Gopal Champu by Srila Rupa Goswami, he explains that Srimati Radharani, she is so compassionate that she started feeling so bad for her dearly beloved Sakhis. She started missing her Gopi friends. She started thinking that, oh, I am here enjoying with Krishna. But what about my friends? They are not here. So Srimati Radharani, she started displaying external pride. And when she displayed external pride, then that time Krishna left Srimati Radharani also. So when Krishna left Srimati Radharani, that's when the gopis saw that Krishna's footprints were gone, that they couldn't see the footprints of Krishna anymore. Next slide, please. And Srimati Radharani, she was left all alone and she came to this particular place of Maan Sarovar. And Srimati Radharani is sitting here all alone. She is, not there at all. No, Krishna is nowhere to be seen. And the gopis, they all come following the lotus footprints of Srimati Radharani. Next slide, please. And when they come, they see that Srimati Radharani is crying tears. And by her loving tears, this beautiful Sarovar, Maan Sarovar, was formed. Because these were angry tears of love for Krishna. That is why, Srimati Radharani is so much in separation from Krishna that she's crying, tears of anger. That why, Krishna, why did you have to leave? Even my gopis, you left. You brought me here, then you left me also. So Radharani is so dejected, she is crying. And with her loving tears, this Sarovar was formed. Next slide, please. So then the gopis, they come and they, console Srimati Radharani that please, Radhe, do not cry. Let us look for Krishna. Let us look for Krishna. And, they went around looking for Krishna at every place.
Because the gopis, they had dedicated their minds, their very lives to Krishna. They were so much in the pain of separation. But their crying, which appears like misery, actually shows their exalted state of transcendental bliss. So Srimati Radharani sat here at the very place. She started crying from separation of Krishna. And then this Sarovar manifested by the loving tears of separation of Srimati Radharani out of her loving anger for Krishna. So sometimes it's difficult to understand how this pain of separation, which looks like misery, is actually transcendental happiness. When we reach that stage, we'll understand. But actually, if we want to give an example, I was just reading that the lowest temperature is minus 273 degrees Celsius. That's when all the molecules, they just become stable. They don't move. Heat is when the molecules start moving, and more they start moving, more heat. But when there is no movement amongst the molecules, that's called minus 273 degrees Celsius. And if you cool below minus 273 degrees Celsius, actually it becomes hot. You cool below the super cool degree, it becomes hot. Similarly, even this looks like that this is suffering, but actually it is transcendental happiness, because it's when you super cool it, it goes the other way. Similarly, it has the opposite effect of transcendental happiness. I'm not sure if so many of you were able to understand the analogy, but this is something which comes close to understanding how an effect can produce an opposite effect. So as the pastimes of Krishna, they spontaneously arose in the minds of the gopis. Next slide, please. That's when they sang their song, which relieves the song of separation, Gopi Gita, which relieves the agony of those who are suffering from the burning pain of separation from Krishna, and it bestows supreme auspiciousness. They sang in the 6th verse of Gopi Gita. Next slide. O you who destroy the suffering of Vraja's people, O hero of all women, your smile shatters the false pride of your devotees. Please, dear friend, Accept us as your maidservants and show us your beautiful lotus face.
Vraja
Vraja Janartihan Virayo Shita Nija Jana Smaya Dvamsana Smita Bhaja Sakhe Bhavan Kinkari Smano Jalaruhananam Charudarshaya. Next slide, please. Then they sing, when you go off to the forest during the day, a tiny fraction of a second becomes like a millennium for us because we cannot see you. And even when we can eagerly look upon your beautiful lotus face, next slide, please. So lovely with its adornment of curly locks, our pleasure is hindered by our eyelids, which were fashioned by the foolish creator. They are cursing Brahma for creating these eyelids. Next slide, please. Because these eyelids have to blink, and for a moment they are not able to have the vision of Krishna. Atatiyad bhavan anikananam trutiyugayate tvamapashyata kutilakuntalam Shrimukham chate jadaudikshata pakshmakridrisha. Next slide, please.
So Krishna, he was listening. Actually, when the gopis were singing out for Krishna through this Gopi Gita, Krishna was actually listening. He was right there and he was listening to everything, but he was not coming in front of the gopis. He was wanting to increase their love for him much more and much more. So the intensity is increased, and Krishna was witnessing their intense love for him. Next slide, please. So we can see here when the gopis were singing, Krishna is actually present, witnessing all of their love. Next slide, please.
Then suddenly, being pleased with their prayers of Gopi, Krishna manifested himself in the midst of the gopis. They had become so extremely disturbed by their separation from him. Then he consoled them. They expressed to him their own deep feelings of ecstasy, and Krishna told them, actually, I did not disappear at all. I was just hiding from you all, and I was listening to your beautiful song of separation. Next slide, please. And then Krishna pacified the gopis, and especially Srimati Radharani. Next slide, please. By placing his head, next slide, please. By placing his head at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Next slide, please. He pacified Srimati Radharani with so much compassion and care. Next slide, please. And here, he placed his head at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Dehi pada pallava plavam udaram. This is what was described by Srila Jayadev Goswami in his Gita Govinda that he offered to Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra Devi ki jai. Next slide, please. So, in this way, as we can see, this is another understanding of Dehi Pada Pallava Plam Udaram. This is a very, very intimate pastime. First, Krishna disappeared or just hid himself. And then when the gopis became so disturbed, then Krishna came and he begged forgiveness from them. Even though it is said that he went away because uh, he felt that Srimati Radharani and the gopis had become proud, but there is no pride in their hearts. And Krishna came back to beg forgiveness. So Maan means anger and loving anger. It's not anger, hatred anger. It's a loving anger. This place is called Maan Sarovar because Srimati Radharani came here in the mood of Maan, loving anger. She was upset. Maan is when Radharani acts angry and she feels hurt because of Krishna's neglect. Next slide, please. So that's why this place is called Maan Sarovar. Next slide, please.
And of course, after Srimati Radharani's anger was pacified, they enjoyed beautiful pastimes here at Mansarovar. So it is also said that once Lord Shiva, he wanted to enter the rasa dance and he performed great tapasya here. And Lalita Sakhi became very pleased and appeared here in front of Lord Shiva and said that, okay, you want to come and enter into the rasa dance? Please come and take bath here in the Mansarovar. So Lord Shiva immediately agreed. And then next slide, please. Lord Shiva, there's this very beautiful temple of Gopeshwar Mahadev here at Mansarovar. Right at the banks of the Mansarovar is this Gopeshwar Mahadev temple. So Lord Shiva, when he took bath at Mansarovar, he came out as a beautiful gopi. He came out as the most wonderful gopi, very sweet looking, beautiful gopi. Next slide, please. So here in this temple, let us take darshan of Sri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. You can see Lord Shiva, but he's dressed as a beautiful gopi right here in this temple, with nice hair, with a crown, wearing a beautiful skirt. And let's take a close-up look at his lotus face. Next slide, please. Look how beautiful he is. We can understand this is Lord Shiva by the moon, the half moon that is there in his hair,
and the snake,
and the snake that is there. But you see his nose ring, you see the beautiful makeup all over him, you see his long, beautiful hair. He's dressed as a beautiful gopi. So this is Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. So when Mahadev, Shiva Shambhu, on the instructions of Lalita and Vrinda Devi, when he took bath at Maan Sarovar, next slide please, let us take darshan of the beautiful Mansarovar where Lord Shiva took bath and he was transformed into a beautiful gopi.
And that was because this is made out of the tears of Srimati Radharani when she was in the agony of separation or the bliss of separation from Krishna.
So let us also enter into this kunda, this beautiful sarovara. Next slide, please. Let us take bath. Let us dive into this beautiful Mansarovar. Just like Lord Shiva was able to transform himself into a beautiful gopi by taking bath here in this Mansarovar with the desire to serve the gopis and Srimati Radharani, to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis. Let us enter this water so that we can actually follow the servant of the servant of the servant's mood, and follow the instructions of our Guru Vargas of Srila Prabhupada, and continue to be a humble servant in this beautiful movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Shri Maan Sarovar ki jai. So after coming out from Maan Sarovar, Lord Shiva entered as a male. But how did he come out? Let's see. Next slide, please. Can we recognize that, the gopis are saying, hey, who is this? Krishna is saying, hey, who is this? Can we see that little tiny girl? Who is that? That is Lord Shiva. That is Gopeshwar Mahadev. He came out as this cute little gopi. So
pinch
cute.
Out, you will see there is a crescent moon. And when he came out of the Manasarovar as this beautiful Gopi Manjari, she just appeared on the scene of Rasa dance. And everyone was surprised seeing this beautiful Gopi.
And then the gopis said, "Oh, this is Gopeshwar. This is our master. This is our Lord." So therefore, the gopis, they accepted Lord Shiva, who has now become this gopi. They said that you will be the guard of the rasa leela. That only people who are qualified, you will let them in. And therefore, from today, we accept you as our master. So you are Gopeshwar Mahadev. So then Lord Shiva, as this little gopi, she said, Lord Shiva said that actually Gopeshwar means that I, as Lord Shiva, am seeking shelter at the lotus feet of the gopis. That's what Gopeshwar means, according to the definition given by Lord Shiva himself. So here on the banks of Mansarovar, Lord Shiva is eternally residing as Sri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki
Yeah.
jai. Next slide, please. So this is the beautiful temple of Srimati Radharani. And here, the deity of Srimati Radharani, it's the only place that, even in Raval or anywhere else, she is with Krishna. But here, this is the only temple in entire Braj that Srimati Radharani is sitting here alone. So let us take darshan of Srimati Radharani. She is in the form of a little shalagram shila. Next slide, please. So if you pinch out, you can take darshan. She's like that black little stone, with the eyes, very beautiful, shalagram shila that she is residing here at the Mansarovar temple. Next slide, please.
This is Srimati Radharani, the Shaligram Shila close-up. And when we went there last year, around the same time, actually, next slide, please. At that time, we went there and Kalasada went and asked for a little bit of Sindur Mahaprasad. And this Pujari, he came out and he gave the whole digbi of
the entire box.
The box of Srimati Radharani's Sindur, which I'm not sure if you can see, but I'm holding it out for all of your darshan.
So we'll show it in the end also, but this is Srimati Radharani's Sindur, which we received at Mansarovar. Next slide, please. We're very, very fortunate. This is Srimati Radharani ki jai. So this is to give you a vision of how she looks. It's just her lotus face who is worshipped in Mansarovar temple. Next slide, please. This is
right outside Mansarovar.
After taking bath, Prabhu and Baba, both of them are taking nice, posing for a nice picture after they both took bath. After we walked, then we took bath here, and then after from here, we went into our camp. Next slide, please. And this is Ma and myself here after we took our bath. And because we wanted to do tilak, that's when I asked this pujari for some sindoor, and he very mercifully gave the entire box of sindoor. We're very, very fortunate. Next slide, please. So today we walked from Bhandiravan to Maan Sarovar. Next slide, please. And this is the map that we followed. So today, next slide, please. We covered Maath. We went through Maath. We came to Belvan, which is the 10th forest out of the 12. Also 2 more forests to go.
Also known as Shiva.
Shrivan or Bilvavan, and then we came to final destination, which is Maan Sarovar. Jai. So we can end our slideshow here, please.
And today, in the honor of Srimati Radharani, we will be playing a song, singing a song dedicated to Srimati Radharani called as Kumkunabja Kanthanabja. Kumkunamata Kanchanabja. This is also called as Radhikashtakam, and this is written by Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. It comes under Govinda Lilamrita.
Rivo. सर्वहारि गौरवा गीतरचिता जगन् कीर्तिनिशप्रभा वल्लभेशं शृणु सर्वं वाञ्छितार्थसाधिका मज्जमात्मपादपद्मो दशदास्तु राधिका घोरविन्द कान्तिनिन्दे चित्रपट शादिका कृष्णमात भृङ्गगिरि फुल्लपुष्पवाटिका कृष्ण नित्य शान्तावार्त पद्मबन्धुराधिका पादपद्म दशदास्तु राधिका कुमार श्रेष्ठ वाली कीर्ति निग्रह चंद्र चंदनोत्पलिंदु शिव्य शीत विग्रह स्वाधिवर्ष वल्लभेश कमतापवार्धिका मज्जमात्मपादपद्म दशदास्तु राधिका विश्ववन्द जगदाग्नि वन्दिता विजारमा रूपनाट्य यौवरादि सम्पदान जत्समा शीलभारद लीलया च साजतोऽस्मिनाधिका मज्जमात्म पादपद्म दशदास्तु राधिका रासलास्यगीतनार्मा सकलानि पण्डिता प्रेमरम्य रूपवेश सद्गुणालिमण्डिता विश्वनाथ्य गोपजोषि दलिता विद्राधिका मज्जमात्मपादपद्म दशदास्तु राधिका नित्यनाभ्य रूपकेली कृष्ण भाव संपदा कृष्ण राग बंध गोमा जगदेशु कंपदा कृष्ण रूप वेश केली लग्न सात समाधिका मज्जमात्म पादपद्म दशदास्तु राधिका स्वेदकं Adgadadeshanchita Marshaharshabhavadani Avabhushananchita Krishna Netra Toshiratna Vandanadadika Matra Matra Pado Padma Dashodasturadhika Jakshanartha Krishna Vipra Yoga Santadoditane Dainya Chapaladi Bhava Vrindamodita Jadalabdha Krishna Shanga Nirgata Kiladhika Machamatma Pada Padma Dashadasturadhika Ashtakena Jastvanena Lauti Krishna Vallabha Darshane Kishaila Jadi Joshidari Durlabha Krishna Shanga Nanditatma Dasha Shivrabhajana Tam Karoti Nanditali Sanchaya Shushajana Kumkumakta Kanchanabja Garbhari Gaurabha Litananchita Jaganda Kirtinindishorabha Ballavesha Shurasarva Vanchitarthashadhika Machamatma Padma Dashadasturadhika Srimati Radhikashtakam ki Jai Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Srila Gurudev ki Jai Jai Shri Radhe Hare Krishna. So now we'll read the quiz for today, for day 25. Please name the forests that we have covered so far in chronological order till number 10. Okay. Second, what is Belvan also called as? What's the significance of this place? Third, what are the qualities, the 4 qualities that Lord Krishna possesses in addition to the qualities of Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu? Why could Lakshmi Devi enter the rasa dance? Why and when did Srimati Radharani exhibit her external pride? Sixth, how did Maan Sarovar manifest? Seventh, when did the gopis recite the Gopi Gita? Eighth, why were the gopis upset with Lord Brahma? Ninth, what is the pastime behind the Dehi Pada Pallava verse composed by Srila Jaidev Goswami? Fantastic questions, Divyangi and Prabhuji. Wonderful questions. Thank you so much for this. By the way, this is the sindoor that was given at Mansarovar, Srimati Radharani. Haribol, Jai Shri Radhe. Okay, so we can open up the lines. Hare Krishna, Garima.
Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji Dhanve Pranam. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. I like this class a lot now because we went to lots of places where I love, and it's about the gopis only, and I'm just feeling that I'm really in Goloka and all these pastimes are happening.
Oh,
I just miss going to Vrindavan again.
thank you,
I
beta.
love these places a lot because they're talking about the gopis and Krishna and the Shiva becoming gopis. It's just so funny. Uh, yes. So so yes. So I don't have any questions today, but you were saying yesterday that this when Krishna, Balram, the cowherd boys, they were going in the forest. Krishna was 5. The Radha and the gopis were running after them, right?
Yes.
No. So I drew a picture.
Okay.
It took a long time.
Oh, wow. That's
This
so
is,
cute.
this is Radha. This is Radha, Lalita, and Vishaka. This is
Oh,
Balram.
Wow.
that's so cute,
Wow, you made
beta.
into 3D.
So
I don't
nice.
know.
You
Thank
can take a
you.
picture and send for us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, beta. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Love you, beta. Thank you. Hari Bol. Kirti?
Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Guru and Gauranga.
Hari Bol, beta.
I really liked today's class. One place I liked was Maan Sarovar, and I also liked the picture when Lord Shiva turned into the little gopi, and you could still see Lord Shiva because there was a little moon in the side of his head. But that picture was really cute. And then we have the Gopeshwar Mahadev I also liked. And then and I also like the Lakshmi from the Belava temple, and then the Radharani temple. Those two are really nice temples. I have one question today. So
Yes, beta.
so Lord Shiva, he's kind of considered as a demigod because he's he's not like working, but he prays to the supreme personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna.
Mhm.
So if Lord Shiva, if people are worshiping Lord Shiva, why is Lord Shiva letting people worship him and not Krishna? There's a lot of people in this world who worship Lord Shiva. Why isn't Lord Shiva telling the people who worship Lord Shiva to go to Krishna? Why is he allowing the people who is worshiping Lord Shiva to worship him? Why his duty is to let them go to Krishna consciousness, so why isn't he moving them to Krishna?
Very good question. Very wonderful question. First of all, Lord Shiva is not a devata or a demigod. He is because devata, demigod is a position, is a post. Just like president is a post. Today one person is occupying it, tomorrow someone else will occupy it. But Shiva is not a post. Brahma is a post which different living entities occupy after their tenure is over. Um, Indra is a post. Indra is not a person, but different persons occupy it. But Shiva is not a post. Shiva is actually a being who is always eternal. But he is not Vishnu as well. He's a devotee. He's a Vaishnavanam Yathashampu. And so your question is valid in one sense that, well, people worship Lord Shiva for material desires. And when they worship him, why doesn't he say, go to Krishna? Actually, he does, but only to selected few. Those who come to him to satisfy material desires, he just, fulfills their material desires. But those who come to him just because they are attracted to Lord Shiva, even if Lord Shiva does not fulfill their material desire, they will still follow Lord Shiva. Those kind of people, he says, oh, you are following me because you're attracted to me. You know what? Let's go to my Lord. And he directs them to Krishna. There are so many examples of Krishna devotees who were previously devotees of Lord Shiva. And they were
One
not
sitting right next to me, actually.
Yeah, yes, I was also a devotee of Lord Shiva before I got the Bhagavad Gita, and then I feel that Lord Shiva directed me to Krishna.
And we have
Because
Rasika. We have Rasika too, and even my mother. Same with my mother too.
And there are several. You see so many devotees in ISKCON, outside ISKCON, so many everywhere, that they were devotees of Lord Shiva. If they were worshipping Lord Shiva for their particular, just because they're attracted to Lord Shiva, then Lord Shiva will direct them to Krishna. But if they are coming to Lord Shiva because of a material desire that they want to fulfill, then Lord Shiva says, well, I can tell you all I want, that go to Krishna. You are only attached to your material desire, and you're coming to me because I will fulfill that material desire. Tomorrow, if I don't have, if I don't fulfill the material desire, you'll go to someone else, because you're not my devotee. You're the devotee of your material desire. And whoever fulfills your material desire, you will go to that person. So fine, I will fulfill it. I have the capacity, I will do it. So as long as they are trying to just approach Lord Shiva or any other demigod, for that matter, uh, for fulfilling their material desires, they will fulfill it if you follow the rules and regulations. They'll act like a businessman. You go to a shopkeeper, you give them some money, and they will give you what you want. They will not think whether it's good for you or not. Um, but if you have a special relationship with the shopkeeper, you say, you know what, I'll take you to the warehouse, the source from where I get all of these things. And like that, if you build a relationship with Lord Shiva or any other devta for that matter, they will say, you know what, you are coming to me out of pure devotion to me. I will take you to Krishna, and both of us will worship Krishna. And that does not mean then we disregard that devata, that now I'm a devotee of Krishna, so now I am no longer a devotee of Lord Shiva. No, we should still continue respecting and worshipping Lord Shiva and the other devatas, but now we worship them as senior Vaishnavas, as great Vaishnavas, and we pray to them for continuing our devotional service to Krishna. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Um, I have one thing to share today. I'm going to remove
Okay.
my background.
And you can see, Kirti, that how many devotees also said, like, Rasika Mataji said, and then, Garima's grandmother, Shamala Gopika Mataji's husband, all of them, everyone, has a story that, Lord Shiva brought them to Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you for your beautiful question, Beta. Yes.
So, I have this picture that I drew. Can you see, Mataji?
Yes.
Jai Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra.
So pretty.
Thank you, Mataji Prabhuji, for a beautiful session today. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna. I
Krishna.
love Jagannath Baldev Subhadra's smile, the way you did it. Beautiful. Thank you, Beta. Haribol.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Dhamma Pranam, all good Srila Prabhupada and Guru Dev. Please accept my humble obeisances. Okay, he's not letting me talk. Actually, he want to show you his Jagannath first, then only he will let me talk. So Karima was putting mehendi, so he was very adamant about putting Jagannath mehendi on his hand.
Oh, wow.
So he has Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra.
So cute.
So he just wanted to show you that I have painted Jagannath on my hand, like a tattoo, but mehendi.
beautiful, Krishna. That's so beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, he
Oh,
has small Jagannaths on this
Jagannath,
paper.
how
Small
sweet.
Jagannaths. Mataji Prabhuji, I have a question. So I am always confused about this, that do we, yes, we respect demigods, but do we worship them? Suppose we passing by a temple or we go with our family. Like I always stop by and pay my Danvat, but I'm not really, I don't have the idea. Do we worship them? Suppose somebody give us arti in our hand. Okay. Offer to this demigod or eat prasad. So what is the right way?
Well, a Vaishnava respects even an ant. So what to speak of a demigod? We know their position, we know their relationship with Krishna, and therefore, if we know that, then we can go and worship, just like the gopis. They worshipped Katyayani Devi. But when they worshipped Katyayani Devi, what did they ask? They asked for Krishna bhakti. They asked for bhakti to Krishna. So if we can also worship the demigods in that mood, that we are, wanting only Krishna from them and no material desires, we desire no material thing from the demigods, then it's perfectly all right to, respect the devatas, to worship the devatas at this mood, to get loving service to Krishna. And at the same time, when, if someone gives us arti, that yes, please take the arti, we can take the arti, that's okay. But eating the prasad that has been offered to the devatas, if we are ourselves offering something, because, when we offer to the devatas, we first offer it to Krishna, and then that prasad we give to the devatas, that becomes Mahaprasad. But, we do not know with what mood the prasad has been offered to the devatas by that person. So, accepting that, there are some reservations in that.
But we should
Respect it.
Yes, and we should respect the devata, not as supreme personality, because sometimes they sing some songs glorifying the devatas and things. We can participate in the worship, but we should always be careful of these two things. Like Kalasuda said, one, we don't ask for material desire, we ask for Krishna bhakti. And second, we don't worship them as the Supreme Personality. We worship them as devotees of the Supreme Personality. So if during worship we have to sing some song which means that they are the Supreme Personality, then we have reservations with that. But we don't have reservations in glorifying them as, in worshiping them as devotees of Krishna and praying to them, paying obeisances to them, and ask for Krishna bhakti. And they then say, "Oh, there comes my real devotee. We will both now serve Krishna. Yes, I'm happy that you are going to Krishna. Yes, I will help you in your progress towards Krishna. You really know my position."
And when we take any prasad from Krishna, like fruits and anything like that, if we take that for the devatas, they are more pleased with that. And that Mahaprasad we can definitely eat. No problem at all. We can definitely eat that.
It's just like to a devotee, if someone comes and says, "Oh, you are so great, you are the Supreme Personality," and like that, the devotee will not feel like, but they are at that post that they are supposed to fulfill the desires if certain things are given to them. So they do it as their duty. But if people come to the person as a devotee, like if someone is in the post of a president, and people go to him as president and he interacts as president, but if that president happens to be a devotee of Krishna and he meets another devotee, suddenly it'll be a different interaction. Because that devotee knows, oh, this is a devotee. Yes, he happens to be in the post of a president, but actually he's a devotee. So there is a different mellow and relationship there. But of course, they are advanced devotees more than us. They are, they have been given this post by Krishna, so they are doing this on behalf of Krishna, their devotional service. So we appreciate all that. We don't criticize them. Oh, you are this, that. We actually, we ask for spiritual advancement to Krishna.
From
And Prabhuji Mataji, sometimes it happens when we go to maybe suppose neighbor's house or some relative's house, and they have a like a Hindu temple, right? In the house where there are all demigods and Krishna, and then they offer arti to everybody, like how in Nectar of Devotion says Krishna. It's written. I read one time that Krishna says something offered to somebody else should not be offered to me. So now the diya is already offered to demigods, then they offering to Krishna. Of course, we know the higher principle, and we cannot go and correct. But when the diya comes to us, now then I get confused that okay, so am I supposed to offer out of respect? Am I not supposed to offer backup, or what should I do? Because it
what you
happens
can
at
do at that time, what you can do at that time is that you first offer to Krishna. It doesn't matter what others have done, but if you are having that obligation that you need to be there at that position, then you take the lamp, you offer first to Krishna, and then you offer to all the other devatas. At least you are doing the right thing, and that way you are pleasing the devatas. So it doesn't really matter whether what they have done before, but when it comes to you, at least you do the right thing.
And we pray to our Guru Maharaj. It is said Guru is the sum total of all the demigods. So when we offer to Guru Maharaj, then in our mind, or to Srila Prabhupada, then he offers to the Guru Parampara and he offers to Krishna in the proper way. So we take shelter of our Guru Maharaj in our mind at that point.
Okay, I understand. And related to this, I have one more quick question. Like before coming into Krishna consciousness, I was in different philosophy, and of course, my mom's side they are worshippers of Mata. So we had a tradition of feeding girls on
Kanya
Navami.
Pujan.
Kanya Pujan, yes. So after I understood the right understanding Krishna consciousness, I started offering prasad, I mean bhoga to Krishna, and then same to Mata. And then same I would take it for those 9 girls to a temple.
Yeah.
So is that the right way, or a worshipper of Krishna should
Yeah.
not even
That's
go
fine.
and
You can do that.
pujan at all?
You can do that. You're giving them Krishna Prasad. That's
Okay.
perfectly fine. That's an
Okay.
opportunity. At least that way you're giving some girls Prasad of Krishna. So you're doing service to them. You're starting their spiritual life. So yes, please do it. There's no harm in doing it if you're doing it in the right consciousness. So
Yes.
that's perfectly fine.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate your help and
Hare
guidance. Thank you.
Krishna, Hare Bol. Thank you. Anjali,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Jai Shri Radhe.
Jai Shri Radhe.
First, I have a very beautiful realization today when you were just telling all the pastimes of Krishna and all. So I was just wondering, like, it is so beautiful if we just close our eyes and just go on the pastimes that since he was born, like, when people say, like, he was born in a prison. Like he has shown us such a vast example, he has just that okay, like what we can do with us. So he said, oh, I was born in prison, then I didn't even stay with my parents, and then I was like, then brought up by Mata Yashoda, and such कहते ना अनपानीय उन्होंने इतना प्रेम किया सब कुछ किया, and as humans, we just get so carried away and with our little sorrows, little dukhas, and we just oh क्या करेंगे अब क्या कैसे करेंगे. But if you just see that he was such a living example in everything, all the pastimes, then he even like animals को प्यार करना, सब चीज को गौ माता का इतनी सेवा करना, everything barefoot. So beautiful it is. It's so like, if you just go in the depth of it, I think so pastime teaches you such a beautiful lesson, such a beautiful, so hidden. Every time I have a new learning whenever I attend your class, and I'm so grateful to you, Prabhuji, Mataji. Like, it is so connected, and every time, like, you just hear it and just think about it and just take it. It just takes you to new one step ahead. It's so beautiful. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And then making me so think about Vrindavan also. First, I like, we always take it for granted, whatever we get it. And now just, after your association, everything I say, okay. And today also, I was just saying, Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna for making me take birth in Vrindavan. I don't know what is his Maya and what is his thing, what is God's grace and his mercy and his blessings. And I said always be just so thankful in gratitude. Puri Shraddha, full surrender and everything to him only. सब कुछ कृष्णा का ही है हमारा तो कुछ भी नहीं है and now I have just a thing about this Devotani Kadashi, that is thing, and about I wanted to know about this Tulsi Vivah.
Uh-huh.
Tulsi Vivah and Saligram Vivah, which so many people they do. Even my mother has done it.
Yes.
And I have seen like one of my aunt also did it last year, but I'm actually not aware of the real thing about it. Though
Okay.
this time also it's coming again and again in my heart since yesterday about this Tulsi Vivah and somebody asked me also. So please
Yes.
could you just let me know?
So this Tulsi Shaligram Vivah is on the last day of Kartik, which is
Okay.
on Sunday, and the last 2 days of this Vrajamandal Parikrama we will dedicate to speaking about Tulsi Shaligram Vivah. The last 2 days.
The life of Tulsi Maharani. Like many devotees have also asked us that how did Brinda Devi, how did she become, a tree, Tulasi? How did she become Tulasi? How did she get married to Shalagram? What happened actually? So we will be doing this on the last 2 days of Kartik, Saturday and Sunday's Katha, which will be India time, Sunday and Monday's Katha. So in India, we found out that India Ekadashi is on the 26th. It is starting from the 26th to the 30th is the last day of Kartik. For us here in the US, it is 25th to the 29th. So that's how it is for India and the US. But however, what we will do is that you know today we came to Mansarovar. From Mansarovar tomorrow, we will be going to Lohavan, which is the 11th forest. So we will be going to Lohavan, and then from Lohavan, we will walk to Dauji, Baldev town of, Dauji Mandir, which is very near Mathura. And then from Dauji, we will go to Brahmanda Ghat. From Brahmanda Ghat, we come to Raval. Okay, so these are the different days that we have got remaining. So we will go to all these places. The last day of the parikrama is Raval to Mathura. It's just 11 kilometers walk only that day. So it's not too much, and therefore there's nothing much to see also. So therefore, what we thought of doing is on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, these last 3 days, we are going to do realization sharing, sharing of realizations from all the devotees, and we will be sharing the pastimes of Vrinda Devi, and Shaligram Shila, Tulasi, the life of Tulasi Devi, basically. And on the last day, we will be going to share about the marriage of Tulsi and Shaligram. How did that whole thing happen? And therefore, because it's the last day of Kartik that day, we will request everyone to dress up very nicely as if coming to a marriage party, and we will have a very nice ceremony here, celebrating the marriage of Tulasi and Shaligram along with the katha. So that's what we plan to do on the last 3 days of this yatra. So we'll give you more details as the time comes nearer, but please, if you can hold off your questions till then, we are definitely going to talk about it.
A small thing, like as I have done full month of Kartik, and if I wish to do Tulsi and Saligram Viva, which I don't know what's happening since yesterday, it's just coming again and again in my mind. In the morning, I got up and everything. I don't know, and I go with always this Krishna something. Oh, I don't know. So is it then I have time to do the preparation? So is it possible for me to do at my pace today this time?
Uh, the actual marriage ceremony. Well,
I don't know.
for that you will definitely need. Well, let's talk on the phone maybe, and
Okay,
we
fine.
talk
Sure.
about it,
I'll
and
do that.
let's see how we can plan it out. And something special, if you want to do, we can definitely talk about it and see how we can do on the last day.
Sure. I'll call you.
All right.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much.
Thank you.
Jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna. Shamala.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept the
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. That's the same question, Mataji, I heard, because I know like we have to celebrate Tulsi Vivaha with only when we have Shaligram, but I don't have, but somehow I got this desire, okay, something we have to do for Tulsi Vivaha, so
Yes.
I
So
thought
we
of
will
it.
actually plan a very nice ceremony. You see, long ago, like around 7-8 years ago, in Mayapur Dham, Jananivas Prabhu would organize the Tulsi Shaligram Vivaha in a very big way in the temple. And then he gave us the instructions how to do it also. And it's just like a normal ceremony, normal wedding ceremony. There's a priest, there's the bride side, there's the groom side, and the marriage is done. That's basically it. But then there was questions raised. It was celebrated for 2-3 years in Mayapur in a row, and then we were told that it's better not to celebrate in public like that at the temples, because you know, we're not supposed to do that, it seems. We're just not supposed to. So, according to Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So, but that day is celebrated as Tulsi Shaligram marriage. So, what we can do is, we will have Tulasi Devi, we dress her up like a beautiful bride that day, and we have the Shaligram Shila. We just say that we narrate the pastime of Tulsi and Shaligram's marriage. We just narrate the past. This is how it is celebrated now. So we just celebrate the pastime. We tell the pastime, and then we dress them up very nicely. And then a huge feast is offered to both of them. And Tulasi Puja is done very grandly in that evening. So that's how we do Tulsi Shaligram marriage now, basically. So we'll do something like that. We'll plan a very special ceremony for this Sunday to commemorate the ending of the Kartik month and the marriage of Tulsi and Shaligram. We'll do that.
Okay. Suppose if
Okay.
we want to do, if we don't have Soligram, I'm not sure, Mataji, if this is not a
Picture.
logical question. Yes, so that's what I was
Just have a
asking,
picture.
whether we can take a picture.
Just to have a
So,
picture of Shaligram.
okay.
Take a picture of Mayapur's, in front of Madhava. There's Janardhan Shila, very small Janardhan Shila. He's the best. So use him, take a picture of his, and you can do the thing. That's what we do. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
both of you, for a beautiful session. Hare Krishna.
Roshan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. I had a question that we saw in Bhandiravan, Brahma arranged the marriage of Krishna and Radharani. So after that, why didn't Krishna accept Radha as his wife?
After that, why what?
Why didn't Krishna accept Radha as his wife? Because he went to Dwarka and he didn't took Radha over there and
Well, Srimati Radharani never leaves Vrindavan. Srimati Radharani never leaves Vrindavan. That is the thing.
And Krishna and Radha have this. There is two kinds of Madhurya ras. So there is 5 rasas primary. There are several rasas, but 5 primary rasa: Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, and Madhuryaras. And they are increasingly more intimate, not higher than each other, but more intimate. And the most intimate is Madhuryaras. Even in Madhuryaras, there are 2 rasas. One is Swakiya Madhurya, and the other is Parikiya Madhurya. Swakiya Madhurya Ras is what Krishna enjoys with Rukmini. or Satyabhama or Jambavati and all his 16,108 wives. That's Swakiya Madhurya Ras. But more intimate than Swakiya Madhurya Ras is Parakiya Madhurya Ras. That is Krishna with Srimati Radharani. So even though, yes, they are married, here, even earlier, Purnamasi had got, all the gopis married to Krishna.
During the Brahma Vimohan Leela.
During the Brahma Vimohan Leela, Krishna expanded as all the gopas, and Purnamasi arranged all gopis to get married to all gopas, who are none other than Krishna at that time, because actual gopas were taken by Brahma. So all the gopis got married to Krishna in that sense. But this marriage is still in the Parakiya Madhurya Ras. They are married, but they don't want to give up the Parakiya Madhurya Ras, because that is the highest. That is considered lowest in the material world. In the material world, we cannot take example of Krishna and say, oh, I'm doing a Parakiya Madhurya Ras. No, that is considered lowest in material world because it's the reflection. But it's highest in the spiritual world because of the quality of the purity of love, and the intensity of love is much, much higher in Parakiya Madhurya Ras. So even though Krishna married Radha, but he still wanted to experience the Parakiya Madhurya Ras.
And also Srimati Radharani, she got married to Krishna not just once, like Prabhu said, definitely during the Brahma Vimohan Leela and at Bhandiravan. But there are many, many more places that Krishna actually got married to Srimati Radharani. There's a place called Surya Kunda, when Srimati Radharani would go to worship the Surya, the sun god. That time Krishna got married to Srimati Radharani. So like this, there are many, many occasions where Srimati Radharani was married to Krishna. But at the same time, Srimati Radharani, it apparently looks as if Krishna left Srimati Radharani and went away to Dwarka, but Krishna also can never leave Srimati Radharani. He can never leave her. He's always with her. That is how we understand.
In bhava form.
Yeah.
Because there is no difference. In the absolute level, there is no difference between the remembrance of Krishna and Krishna himself, which we cannot understand. Just like there is no difference between Krishna's holy name and Krishna himself, which we can only understand once we are advanced in our chanting. So in that same way, Krishna never leaves. In fact, Krishna has not even left us. It looks like we are alone in the material world. It's just that we have forgotten. Krishna never leaves even us, and we can experience that once we chant the holy names and understand the absolute nature of Krishna's presence. Until then, we'll have to just accept these things as per Shastra.
I hope this answers your question, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you very much, Mataji and Prabhuji, for answering the question. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you. Any more questions? From Krishna.
Mataji and Prabhuji, I would, may I share one thing on this, which we grew up in Braj with the Radha and Krishna's. May I just say something?
Yes, please, please.
Actually, they used to say that Krishna used to say, Radhe, तेरे से तो मैं क्या करूं? We are एक प्राण दो देह. तो शादी तो उससे करते हैं जिसकी लाइक हम दोनों तो एक ही हैं. जब हम अलग अलग हों तो हम करें. This is the past time we used to hear and this they used to say. तो कह रहे कि he used to always say, राधे तू तो मेरी हम दोनों तो एक ही हैं. और जब हम दोनों एक हैं, जहाँ मैं हूँ वहाँ तू है, और जहाँ तुम हो वहाँ मैं हूँ. तो जहाँ जहाँ मैं जा रहा हूँ वहाँ तो तुम हो ही. तुम तो मेरे अंदर हो और मैं तुम्हारे अंदर हूँ. तो हम तो अलग है ही नहीं. So it was like, this is something my grandmother and all used to say. And they used to say कि वो तो सबसे परे हैं. तो उनके ऊपर तो बस हर समय नमन करो और कभी अपना दिमाग मत लगाओ और कुछ मत सोचो.
Very true. दिमाग नहीं लगाना चाहिए. Very true.
ये सही बात है, क्योंकि कृष्ण राधा रानी को आलादिनी शक्ति कहा जाता है. लादिनी शक्ति कृष्ण की. जब कृष्ण बहुत खुश होते हैं, उनमें से अगर वो खुशी निकाल दें, if we take out that extreme pleasure from Krishna, it takes the form of Radharani. So
Yes.
you're right. Radharani is actually one of the internal energies of Krishna. It's not. Yes.
Srimati
That's
Radharani is
right.
very, very special. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Pri, for sharing
Mm.
this. Thank you. So we have a question from Krishna Sharanam Prabhu. Did the gopis know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord? Because Yashoda Mata never accepted it.
As we said, the gopis, even if they knew, that knowledge of Krishna being supreme is so minuscule, is in front of their love, that they just disregard that. They don't, even if someone tells them and proves them, look, this is the proof Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, they'll say, okay, so what?
Big deal.
Big deal. Let him be supreme, let him not be supreme. I don't love him because gopis don't love Krishna because he's Supreme Personality of God. They just love him because spontaneously they have love towards him. They don't, we in the material world, we say, oh, we need proof. Who is supreme? Whoever is supreme, I will worship them. But when we are completely purified and at the level of the soul is just helplessly attracted to Krishna. And at that point, it doesn't care whether he's Supreme Personality or not. Of course, the reason we are helplessly attracted is because we are his part and parcel and he's the Supreme. But the love doesn't see that consideration. So, did gopis know that Krishna is Supreme Lord? Even if they knew, it doesn't matter, because that's not why they love Krishna. And in many cases, they think it's a, yeah, okay, because there were so many proofs that Krishna also gave that he's supreme. He killed Putana. He killed all these demons. He saved gopis from the forest fire, from so many different. They saw this superhuman things that Krishna is doing. Any normal person would say, "Oh yeah, he's supreme. He's supreme." But gopis, they were like, "Okay, he does these super excellent things, but we are not attracted to him. Tomorrow he doesn't do it. Doesn't mean that we'll stop loving." So that is the
And also when Krishna, he does some so-called questionable acts like stealing butter. Krishna is thief. Even then the gopis love him. It's unconditional. Even when Krishna is called as Ranchor, being a kshatriya, when he became a prince in Dwarka, Krishna was, from a Vaishya, he became a kshatriya prince. But for kshatriyas to, escape and run away from the battlefield is worse than death. Krishna is worshipped as Ranchor Rai, and the gopis love him for that. So their love is not conditional, it is unconditional. That is why Srila Prabhupada said we have to develop our unmotivated, undeviated, unconditional, uninterrupted, unalloyed love for Krishna. That is the love of the gopis.
And that is the natural quality of the soul. So if we just follow Prabhupada's instructions, chant 16 rounds every day, follow 4 regulative principles, serve the Vaishnavas with humility, tolerance, love, follow Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtanya Sadahari, and to whatever extent we can preach, we share this as much as possible, then Krishna will be pleased and he will uncover all the anarthas, and then the natural love for Krishna will come out. There is a question here, how is such love possible for ordinary human being like me? That is the purpose of life, to develop that kind of love. We develop that kind of love, sadhya kabu noy. Shuddha chitte, what is that?
Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte
Koroy
Koroye
uday.
Uday.
That this kind of love cannot be artificially imposed. It's already there. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte. When we purify our chitta, our mind, by Shravanam, Kirtanam, all these different 9 processes, Koroy Udoy, then it is hidden, it again gets unhidden. It manifests itself. It is there. That same love of the gopis may not be to that intensity, but that same quality of love is there in every living being's hearts. But right now, it is being misdirected. When we see some big movie actor, we get spontaneously attracted to that person. Or we see some big beauty somewhere, we spontaneously get attracted. Somewhere we see someone dancing very nicely, we spontaneously get attracted. Actually, those are meant to be directed towards Krishna as the supreme dancer, directed towards Krishna as the supreme artist, directed towards Krishna as the supreme lover. We even the propensity of loving our children, actually the root of that is propensity of loving Krishna. Right now it's misdirected in so many different bodily identifications. But the fact that we are attracted in this way means that originally, if we purify that bodily attraction, it'll go towards Krishna. And that's we'll just like the gopis, the same quality will happen. So we just follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions. We don't have to do anything external, and have this desire to understand that, appreciate the love of the gopis, following the footsteps of the Vrajvasis. Then automatically we will be able to experience that love. But for now, we should worship Krishna because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because right now we are bound by this bodily identification. We need some intellectual understanding. We need some. But then slowly, steadily, the goal of life is that we don't love Krishna because he's Supreme Personality of Godhead. But at this stage, we must follow that. Let's not artificially give up that and say, oh, we'll get confused. So,
and it will also become very sentimental.
Yeah, it'll become sentimental.
It'll become very sentimental, like Srila Prabhupada said, philosophy without what's that?
Philosophy without is mental speculation.
Mental speculation. And so we have to be very, very careful that we don't start doing these kind of mental speculation and just making this a very cheap thing. We should be very careful about that also. So therefore, engaging in Vaidhi sadhana is very, very important. So which keeps us focused. It keeps us, goal oriented, that the ultimate goal of life is to develop pure prema towards Krishna, pure love to Krishna. So we hope this answers your question. But we definitely know him to be the Supreme Lord. Yes. We start off with that. Yes. We start off with that. And then it is our goal to come to the stage of unmotivated, unalloyed, unconditional love to Krishna. That is the goal. So, thank you. Any other questions?
If not, we can end here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa
Sindhu
sindhubhya
Vacha
patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much. There's a hand raise. Rushan Prabhu, you have another question?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna, Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
I had a question that one Prabhuji from Sri Sampradaya, he says that we should not worship Lord Shiva. So, what can I do then?
We should not worship Lord Shiva as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's correct. But we should worship Lord Shiva as Param Vaishnava.
Yes, Prabhuji, I said that, but he said that Ramanujacharya once said that we should only be devoted to Vishnu or Krishna and not to any other demigod or Lord
Yeah.
Shiva.
So when we worship Lord Shiva as a devotee of Vishnu, we are actually worshipping Vishnu. We are not worshipping Lord Shiva as supreme. We are worshipping Vishnu. Right? If we are worshipping, suppose we worship Srila Prabhupada as a devotee of Krishna. When we worship Srila Prabhupada as a guru, we are worshipping Krishna in the sense that that worship is going from Srila Prabhupada to Krishna. Similarly, if we worship Lord Shiva as a devotee of Krishna, then we are actually worshipping, that worship is going to Krishna because Lord Shiva accepting it, giving it to Krishna. As long as we are worshipping in that consciousness. But if we worship, so Ramanujacharya was correct, we worship only Vishnu. and we should worship not Lord Shiva as the Supreme Personality. So if we worship Lord Shiva, but if we disrespect Lord Shiva as a devotee of Krishna, that is a Vaishnava aparadha as well. But at the same time, if we think of Lord Shiva as the Supreme Personality, that is second offense, to consider demigods like Lord Shiva and Brahma as equal to or independent of the names of Lord Vishnu. So we have to have that fine balance. If we are getting into worshipping, respecting any devata, we should know that balance.
And also, what the Sri Sampradaya devotee is probably meaning is that we don't have to spend our time in, separately worshipping Lord Shiva, even as a Vaishnava. When the opportunity presents itself, okay, yes, we are, not disrespecting Lord Shiva, but at the same time, we don't, include it in our daily kind of sadhana. Daily sadhana, we are watering the root, as Srila Prabhupada said. If we water the root, then we are satisfying every branch, every leaf, every flower, every fruit. So Krishna is that root. So if we are worshipping Krishna, there is no need to worship anyone else. There's no need. But there's a difference between there's no need and disrespecting. We're not saying that we disrespect. We do respect the other devatas, but we don't have to, do special arrangements to worship everyone. We just don't have to do that. So I think that's what that devotee must be meaning, and nothing else other than that.
And thank you, Krishna Sharanam Prabhu. Yes, philosophy without religion is mental speculation, and religion without philosophy is sentimentalism.
That's what Srila Prabhupada said. So thank you so much for that. And Roshan Prabhu, we hope this answers your question.
Yes, Mataji and Prabhuji, thank you very much. But he was saying that he doesn't want to go to Shiva temple inside it also. So he said,
well, some
he said
I know in South India there is some cultural differences between Shaivites and Vaishnavites, and maybe in that cultural situation, even if someone goes to Shiva temple to worship as him as a Vaishnava, then it may be taken as political victory over one side over the other.
Yeah.
But Lord Chaitanya, when he visited South India, he visited more Shiva temples. If you see the South India Yatra, he's going to so many different Shiva temples and paying his respects, but as a devotee of Krishna. So maybe during Ramanujacharya time, there was a lot of differences between, and it had become a political thing that are you a Shaivite or a Vaishnava? And Ramanujacharya had come for a specific purpose to establish the worship of Vishnu as supreme. So, in that sense, he was emphasizing that, because if someone goes to Shiva's temple, it will be misconstrued as, look, he's accepting that Lord Shiva is supreme. So that consciousness part, people may not understand. And so culturally, it may be like in South India, it is very sensitive. But we should understand the higher understanding of it. And yeah, that could be one of the reasons.
okay, Prabhuji, thank you very much. Hare Krishna Mataji, Prabhuji.
Hare
Dhanwad.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. All right. So if there's no more questions, we can conclude our session here. We'll look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow when we go to the 11th forest of Sri Vraja Mandala, which is Lohavan. Jai.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Kripa
kripasindhubhyo
sindhubhyevacha
cha
patitanam
patitanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
namo
namo
namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki